All right, so let's get right into it. For the last couple of years, the whole story around AI has been, well, bigger is better. But here's the thing. A massive shift is happening right now, one that's going to completely change how professionals use artificial intelligence. We're going to break down why 2026 is shaping up to be the year for a whole new breed of AI. And really, it all comes down to this one question. Is bigger AI always better? I mean, we've all been hearing that for years, right? The more data, the bigger the model, the smarter the AI. But is that actually true when the stakes are really, really high? Think about it. Does a lawyer defending a case or a surgeon in the operating room really need a jack-of-all-trades AI? This breaks it down perfectly. Just think of it like this, right? A general AI, that's kind of like your family doctor, your GP. They know a little bit about, well, everything. But a vertical AI? Oh, that's your specialist. That's the top-tier surgeon who knows absolutely everything there is to know about one super specific, super complex field. And make no mistake, this isn't just some small tweak. We're talking about the next full-blown AI revolution. The entire industry's pivoting. That race to build the biggest model? It's being replaced by a race to build the smartest, most specialized model. And the experts are all pointing to 2026 because that's the year it all comes together. It's like the perfect storm of high-quality data, cheaper computing power, and a huge market demand for pinpoint accuracy. Okay, so let's get a little more specific here. What exactly are we talking about when we say vertical AI? Let's meet this new class of AI models, the ones that are built from the ground up to do one thing and one thing only. So here's the definition we're working with. People call it vertical AI, or sometimes domain-specific language models, or DSLMs, if you want to be fancy. Basically, these are AI systems designed and trained for one single industry. Think medicine, law, or engineering. And the absolute key here is that they get the unique lingo, the unwritten rules, all the technical stuff of that profession. In a way, a general do-it-all AI, well, it just can't. Now, I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, right? Smaller is smarter, but in the professional world, being laser-focused is way, way more valuable. So what are the big problems that are actually driving this huge demand for specialized AI? Well, this whole shift really boils down to four key goals. First up, precision. In these high-stakes fields, close enough just doesn't cut it. It can be disastrous. Second, you've got to eliminate all the irrelevant junk, the noise. I mean, a legal AI has no business knowing about baking recipes, right? Third is all about building trust. The goal here is to create a tool that's so reliable, professionals actually see it as a certified expert. And finally, and this one's huge, is reducing those hallucinations, when AI just makes stuff up. When you train a model only on expert-verified data, that risk drops like a rock. Okay, so how do you actually build one of these digital experts? Because let me tell you, it's not about just pointing a model at the entire internet and hoping for the best. No way. This is a super deliberate, careful, and expert-driven process. Let's take a look at how it's done. You can pretty much break the whole process down into four big steps. First, it all starts with curating really high-quality, industry-grade data. We're talking peer-reviewed journals here, not random blog posts. Then you have to train it on all the technical nuance of the field. After that, the model gets fine-tuned for super specific tasks, like, say, drafting a legal contract. And finally, and this part is absolutely crucial, it's validated against professional standards to make sure it's performing at the same level as a human expert. And this quote right here, it's a perfect example of what we mean by that technical nuance training. In a normal conversation, the word consideration just means being thoughtful, right? But in a legal contract, it has a very, very specific meaning. It's the thing of value that's exchanged. A vertical AI for law has to know that difference, inside and out. It's non-negotiable. And, creating one of these models is not a solo mission. It really takes a village, an entire ecosystem of players. You need the industry experts, the doctors and lawyers to bring the actual knowledge. You need data providers, the enterprise developers to build the tech, regulatory bodies to set the rules, and, of course, you need the investors who see just how valuable these specialized tools are going to be. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Now let's get to the part that really matters, the impact. How does this tech actually create real-world value in jobs where, a mistake can have massive consequences? Let's just walk through a quick example in a legal field. Imagine an AI that's fed 20 years of legal records. It starts to learn all the tiny patterns, the things that make a case successful versus unsuccessful. And the result? It can now draft a completely sound, legally solid contract. This means the legal department can process documents 5 times faster.
And what does that lead to? The business saves a ton of money, and, this is a big one, avoids incredibly costly errors. You see that? It's a clear, measurable chain of value.
And in some fields, the impact is literally life or death. Take healthcare. A specialized AI that's been trained on millions of medical journals and diagnostic scans can potentially reach 99.9% accuracy in diagnostics. Just think about what that means for a second. It means helping doctors catch rare diseases way earlier and far more reliably. It is a total game changer. And this isn't just happening in law and medicine either, not by a long shot. In finance, these models are helping analysts give much more reliable market advice. We already talked about legal, where they're slashing billable hours. In engineering, you could have an AI help design a structure and have it check that it follows every single safety code to the letter. Really, the applications are as wide-ranging as the professions out there.
But, of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. No technology is a silver bullet, right? To really get the full picture here, we have to talk about the downsides, the limitations, and the real dangers that come with this kind of hyper-specialization.
So, there are a few big risks we need to keep on our radar. First, you get these data silos. The AI becomes an expert in one thing that is completely clueless about everything else. Second, the cost. Man, getting and cleaning up that expert-level data is incredibly expensive. Then there's the problem of bias. If the professional data from the past has historical biases baked into it, guess what? The AI is going to learn those biases as gospel. You've also got the risk of us becoming too dependent on them and human skills starting to fade. And finally, these models are handling super sensitive information, which makes them a giant flashing target for hackers. And all of this really brings us to the final big question. Because as these specialist AIs get better and better, we're all going to have to face this choice in our jobs and in our personal lives. When the stakes are at their absolute highest and you need a real expert, who are you going to trust? The human with years of experience or the specialist AI that's been trained on the entire collective knowledge of that profession? That's definitely something to think about.